Good evening and welcome to the January 12th meeting of the Norfolk Select Board. In accordance with the provisions of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20, notice is hereby given that the Select Board will meet on Monday, January 21st, 2026 at 7... January 12th. Oh my goodness, 2026 at 7 p.m. The members of the public are welcome to attend this in-person meeting, and thank you so much for being here. In room 124, 1 Liberty Lane, Norfolk, Mass, or by remote Zoom connection provided below. Please note that the in-person meeting will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the remote connection. If attending remotely, please sign in using your...
Be careful. I might be fine.
Oh, Chris, I'm going to ask you to mute. If attending remotely, please sign in using your first and last name to request to ask a question or provide a comment. Please use the raise hand feature available when you click on your name, and the chair will address the request. Please be advised that the meeting will be audio and video recorded for future rebroadcast by the lovely Norfolk Community Television. Would you please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We begin our meetings with a period of public comment. Citizens are welcome to express their views during the public comment period for up to 3 minutes on any matter that affects the town. The Select Board will not engage in dialogue during public comment. If a matter is raised, we will, however, give consideration to comments that are before the board. So do we have any public comment at this time? Jack, come on up.
Good evening. I'm here tonight to discuss the agenda.
Would you say your name and...
Oh, sure. Jack Oliveri, 4 Barrel Place, Norfolk, Mass.
Thank you, sorry.
I'm here tonight to discuss the agenda items related to procurement process. I hope there can be a dialogue tonight, even though this may not be a public hearing. In the interest of transparency, we need to understand the issues that led us to this point that includes the past procurement decisions that were revealed last June by the Office of the Inspector General letter, but just recently discovered by residents. This is not to assign blame or criticize individuals, but to make sure we understand what safeguards have been put in place to prevent this from happening again. I understand there was a response to the OIG letter, but we have not been allowed to see it. All the more reason for transparency. With regard to process, it has been disturbing to hear that certain important issues, such as the battery storage safety at the Pond Street solar field, has not resulted in anyone taking overall responsibility, even though it should have been addressed years ago. The issue gets bounced back and forth between boards and departments, but the Select Board indicates it has no authority to control in these matters because the boards are elected. And yet, it is not clear why the Select Board cannot form a committee to make process suggestions to these boards, and also departments, or start a bylaw study committee as we have done in the past. I firmly believe that none of us is as smart as all of us, and we need to fix this now. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Is there any other public comment? Yes, come on up.
I have to sit in this little chair.
Yes, that nice cozy chair.
My name is Debbie Lawrence. I live in Lafayette Lane in Norfolk. I've been a resident for over 45 years. I'm pretty close to the, whatever you call that site is, where the solar panels or whatever it's going to be. I guess my main concern is, number one, is there anybody on the board, the fire department, the police department, who is licensed, certified, or educated in the battery maintenance? And if something happens with those batteries and they leak and they contaminate, is there a procedure in place to contain that hazardous waste? Other question I have is, if by chance something should leak and residents of Norfolk or children from outside of Norfolk who play in those fields, do they have recourse? So if I get contaminated or whatever by these batteries, do I just sit at home and get sick, or does the town do something about it? Because there seems to be no answers. I don't know enough about these solar things. I just know all the trees that were destroyed and all the houses that were taken away. And I'm not sure if anybody can answer all the questions. I feel like I'm in the twilight zone. So that's kind of what I have to say.
Thank you. We appreciate you being here. Thank you.
You have one on,
Online.
yes.
Do you want to recognize her? Kathleen has her hand
Kathleen
raised.
Fox.
Kathleen Fox, yep.
Yes.
There we are.
This is Kathleen Fox, Boardman Street. I'd just like to state that I'm disappointed that open discussion of the solar array has not been allowed. The solar array on Pond Street has turned into a much bigger and changed project from what was presented or inferred at the town meeting when we voted to allow the town to lease land for a solar array. I feel townspeople deserve to have questions answered and concerns addressed. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen.
So I know we're not going to get into a back and forth, but I will say that there is a planning board meeting tomorrow night, and this is on the agenda. So if you have specific questions about, this project, I know the planning board has this on their agenda, and they will address your questions at that time. So that's all I'll say about that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any other public comment? I think we're good. All right, we're moving on to number 2 on our agenda, welcoming a new police officer to the town of Norfolk. Chief, come on up.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening.
Oops. Thank you for this opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, I would just like to take a moment. I don't know if this has really been something that's been done frequently or ever in Norfolk, but I think it's a great idea. As the board and the town knows, we've had some vacancies, and we went through a pretty involved selection process to find the next police officer for the town of Norfolk, and I think we've done a phenomenal job in that. So I'd like to introduce Antonia Zagami. She's transferring to us from North Attleboro Police Department with 5 years of experience there. During her time in North Attleboro, she spent time in patrol. She has acted in the capacity as an on-call detective, and most recently, she's the police prosecutor there. Those are all positions that I occupied as a police officer during my career, and they're challenging, and you learn a tremendous amount in occupying those different spaces in law enforcement. She is a certified sexual assault investigator and also a certified field training officer. Two very, very good skills to have in a community such as Norfolk. She holds a Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice from Bridgewater State. And I think it's also noteworthy that when she graduated from the Police Academy in Cape Cod, she was awarded the prestigious Academy Director's Award, which is the highest honor that a recruit can obtain or to achieve at the police academy. I will say that I did reach out to the chief of police once, Tony had made it through our hiring and recruitment process and had passed all of the background and jumped through all the hoops and whatnot. When we were going to make a employment offer, I did reach out to Chief McQuaid in North Attleboro. He was very gracious and had nothing but good, kind words to say about Tony and indicated indicated that, they've had a lot of transfers in recent history, and that Tony's was the most noteworthy that they were experiencing, and that she would truly be missed in North Attleboro. So it is definitely Norfolk's gain. She definitely checks all of the boxes in terms of the goals that I see for Norfolk Police Department in terms of community engagement, and I'm just very happy to introduce Tony, and I'll turn it over to Tony to introduce herself and also
evening.
her family.
Yes, of course, let me introduce myself. I'm Tony Zagami. Very nice to meet you all. Thank you so much for having me tonight. With me tonight, I have my beautiful mother, Elaine.
Hi, Elaine.
Next to my beautiful mom is my beautiful sister, Gina. And then I have my beautiful fiance behind them, Jordan. And my stepson, my handsome stepson, PJ. And I'm very excited that they're here tonight. Oh, I'm so sorry, Dad. My dad is on Zoom.
It looks like his hand is up, too.
Oh, his hand is up. Oh, okay, he just got an iPhone about an hour ago, so if he wants to say something after, maybe he can. Maybe.
I'm sorry I couldn't be there. I'm on a business trip down to Maryland, and she's not surprised that I'm saying a few words. And I know she's very excited about the new opportunity, and I'm sure she's going to make the town very proud in short term.
Thank you, Dad.
Best of luck, kiddo.
Thank you, Dad. That was my father. Louis. Yes, Chief said, I never anticipated leaving North Attleboro. I was raised in North Attleboro, and then I, got on the force, my hometown, my dream career, and, as I say, man plans, God laughs, right? But I'm so happy to be here. I know this is the trajectory that I'm supposed to be going in. So I've been on 5 years, and I've also fulfilled the role as senior citizen liaison for my town, which has been very rewarding. And I've done, I've done a lot in the 5 years that I've been there, and I'm really, really looking forward to bringing my experience and my training and all the knowledge that I have, and working alongside all the dedicated men and women of this department, and serving the town of Norfolk. I truly am ecstatic. So I cannot thank you enough for giving me this opportunity. Sir, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
And I mean it. So, and if you have any questions for me, please feel free.
Thank you. Do you have any questions?
No. Glad you could join the force.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, same here.
Thank you so much.
And I would like to say that, first of all, it's so exciting to see so many colleagues here to welcome you. That's very exciting to me. And so thank you, Chief, for your diligence in this search. And welcome to Norfolk. We're so pleased to have you here.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you so much.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Very nice to meet you.
Pardon? Shall we?
Continue.
All right. I hate to interrupt. Well, just let her finish her line.
They're all headed out now.
Thank you so much again.
Thank you. Welcome.
Forward to seeing you soon.
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Nice to meet you, brother.
Andy, for public comment?
I don't know. See the hand.
We're beyond.
I think we have gone beyond. So I'm going on to number 3 on our agenda, introducing a new local building inspector.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you, is Michael Savard online?
I don't see him. Hold on. Yep.
Okay. So if you could maybe unmute Michael.
Yep.
Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you okay, Michael.
How are you?
Yep, just give me a second, Michael, okay? So I just wanted to, in following the chief's lead on this, I felt it was appropriate that we do, and I think it's a great idea, that we should do this across the board.
I agree.
So I reached out to David and to Michael to see if Michael could be here this evening. Michael is our new local building inspector. He just started last week. So he just started this past week, and we're happy to have him on board. He comes to us with a solid resume. David did a great job vetting the candidates and selecting Michael for that role. So I'm very pleased that he's with us. And Michael, if you have a couple of things you wanted to say, now's the time.
Good evening. How is everybody?
Good, thank you.
Good.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, I apologize. I'm out with my boys tonight, so I apologize I can't be in person. I want to thank you guys for allowing me to interview and hiring me for the permit process. And I'm happy to be in town. I bring over 30 years of construction management experience, and I look forward to working with the team. Just in the short period of time that I've been here, these people in here are very serious about what they do. They have a passion for public safety, and I'm happy to join them.
Thank you. Do you have any questions?
No.
Any questions?
No, we're happy to have you, Michael. Welcome aboard. Thank you.
I agree,
Thank you very
welcome.
much.
And thank you for your diligence in finding us an excellent candidate. Thank you.
Have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.
Welcome. All right, item number 4, consider a water abatement for 31 Mirror Lake.
So, Madam Chair, the Public Works Director, interim Public Works Director, brought this item to my attention. We had a resident who apparently had some kind of a leak in their home and had a significant consumption of water for a short period of time, few days in one particular month. The resident reached out to us to see about us abating some of that, and I thought came up with a brilliant solution to this. He's not asking for an abatement of the entire piece. He's willing to accept responsibility for a portion of that, but his bill was $1,200, I believe, for the month. And he's requesting a $377.82 abatement for the water. And after speaking with the interim DPW Director, John DeLuca, he and I had a long conversation about this, and we both felt that it was fair to both sides if we did that. This is an item that we can't do internally, as a department, or even as a town administrator. It's something that the board can do as the overseers of the water. So I wanted to put that on your agenda, bring it to your attention, and recommend that we follow that course of action and abate the $377.82.
So, any,
I think it's very reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, it was clearly an outlier. It went back to normal usage after whatever this issue was that occurred, so I'm fine with it.
yeah, and I thought it was an elegant answer, because for people who are watching, water is charged at different rates depending on the amount of use. So if you use more water, it gets more expensive, in an interest to encourage conservation. And so they're just asking for that, the water that leaked out to be charged at the regular rate. I thought that was really reasonable and elegant solution. So if it's okay with the board, I would accept a motion to approve a water abatement in the amount of $377.82 for 31 Mirror Lake Avenue.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll let John know tomorrow that we can notify the resident.
Excellent. I'm going to invite Mr. Garrity up because he's on the next several, on our next several items. And I wasn't here last time when you were here, so I just want to welcome you in person. For people who are watching, Rob Garrity is going to be our new town administrator beginning on January 20th.
20th, yeah.
On January 20th. And so we're super excited to have him join the team. And so I just wanted to personally welcome you and say welcome, because I was remote last time. And then I'll turn it over to Mr. Gallagher.
Yes, Madam Chair, as you know, we have, at your last meeting, you approved the contract with Mr. Garrity. Now it's a matter of doing the formal appointment with a beginning date and an end date, and then also appointing Mr. Garrity to various boards and committees and functions within the town. So those items are on your agenda this evening. They're the next 2 or 3 that we have to deal with. So with that said, looking for a motion of the board to...
Awesome. I'll move through those unless you have any comment before we...
No, I'm very excited to get started. I can't wait.
Super pleased.
As am I.
That worries me a little.
I should. So I'm going to power through these then. I'm going to put on my glasses so I read it correctly. I will accept a motion to appoint Rob Garrity effective January 20th, 2026 as the town administrator with the term of office to expire on January 20th, 2029.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. I would also...
Chair, just as a note, those dates are the ones that correspond to Rob's contract.
Excellent. I would also move that we vote to approve the appointment of Rob Garrity effective January 20th, 2026 to the Fire Station Building Committee with the term expiration of June 30, 2026. That'll be a short one.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I think
Aye.
I can deliver the fire station.
Excellent, thank you. I'm excited.
That was your first test.
And then I would accept a motion to approve the appointment of Rob Garrity effective January 20th, 2026 to the Municipal Affordable Housing Trust with a term expiration of June 30, 2027.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Excellent. And I move that the board vote to approve the appointment of Rob Garrity effective January 20th, 2026 as the designee to the MBTA Advisory Board for the town of Norfolk with a term expiration of January 20th, 2029.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And maybe you could work magic there and get that Park Street Bridge just like buttoned up.
That's, I think, our top key priority at the time.
I think that would be amazing. I am hoping that something can at least move up the agenda item. And then there we go. We're
There you
good.
go.
All right.
Congrats.
Thank you for being here.
I appreciate the board's faith and will do my best to justify it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Number 9.
So, Madam Chair, the Conservation Commission is appointing a open space committee to study the open space and recreation plan and create that open space and recreation plan. And as part of the committee, the structure of the committee, a member of the select board has been requested to be the name forwarded to the Conservation Commission so they can actually set up this open space and recreation plan. So this evening, we need a volunteer or someone who forgets to step back or whatever happens to work here to be that designee.
I would too.
Yeah.
I would too. Rock, paper, scissors.
Rock, paper, scissors. I guess how big feelings that we have about it. I believe in the open space. I know you and I have both talked a lot about the importance of our trails and our paths, so I think we both feel strongly about it.
What's the time commitment roughly? Do you know?
I have no idea. The term will run until that plan is put together and certified and finished. So I don't know how long that will take. I don't know what the duration of that whole process will be, but that's all I know.
And so the conclusion of
Rich,
the
do you have any more
appointment,
data on that?
I would say probably 9 months.
Okay.
evening meetings,
Evening meetings.
I'm available and interested if I don't know how
It's
to.
fine. We don't have to fight over it.
Yeah.
I think any one of us would be fine. If you feel strongly, Anita, that's fine.
But I don't want to take it if it's your. I'm interested in being part of that. That would be awesome. But if you are also interested, I'm willing to compromise, or we could do something
Or
shared.
can they appoint, we have two or no?
No, just one.
One.
Just one.
Okay.
There are citizens, so that, I believe the information is in your
Is it?
packets. There are citizen seats, there's a member of the Conservation Commission, there's a member of the Select Board, there's a number of people who are part and parcel to that.
If you don't mind, I'd like to be on that. Yeah,
I'm
okay.
very agreeable.
Okay.
So, I'm going to ask you to do the motion, is that okay? I would accept a motion to appoint Kevin Roach as the Select Board designee to the Open Space Committee with the term expiring upon the completion of the Open Space and Recreation Plan.
So moved.
And I'll second it. Can he vote if we're nominating him?
Can see why not.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. And you'll report back to the board of
Yes.
how things are going during the updates?
Yes.
You could tell us long stories.
Yeah, oh, yeah. I don't think you'll be hearing many of those.
Okay, and so now we are moving on to action item number 10, which is a planning project process discussion. And I'd like to, I was thinking about responding to comments that I've read on social media, but this is a discussion that came from concerns from our citizens about a lack of transparency and concerns of our citizens about that we could do better. And I agree with what Mr. Oliveri said, that us is, how did you say it so nicely? We are smarter than I?
No, I said, none of us is as smart as all of us.
None of us is as smart as all of us, and I believe that to be true. However, in the structure of the committee, this is a discussion from the board to talk about what processes we have in place, what we can learn, how we can do better, and what are the mistakes that have happened out there that we can grow from. I'm going to tell a story just for Kevin. He laughs, makes fun of me about my stories. But when I was a teacher, and again, when I was a leader as a principal in the school, on my first day, in either of those capacities, I would talk to my students or to my staff about the importance of making mistakes, and that mistakes are opportunities for growth and opportunities for learning. And if we're not making any mistakes, we're static. We're not getting better. And so, not that I'm encouraging mistakes in this situation, but I'm saying we have made mistakes and we want to see them as opportunities for growing. We are interested in transparency. The transparency interest is real. And so I'm going to launch it to Mr. Gallagher. It is not a public hearing, so we're not accepting public comment at the time, but we are interested in sharing our processes and procedures and growing from the questions that are in front of us.
So, Madam Chair, thank you. I appreciate that, and I happen to agree. If we haven't made mistakes, we haven't done anything, and I've always been told that you learn more from when you stumble than if you don't. So,
not that our goal is to stumble.
Yeah, no, it never is. But with that said, I actually met with the staff folks Thursday when I was in. I think it was Thursday, and we talked about some of the process stuff that we do, and some of the review and the way we review. And this should be, it's actually, this is kind of a misnomer, because it's not just the planning project process, it's process in general for planning, siting, permitting, whatever. So it was a much bigger discussion, and it also included, fire, police, public works. We get into all of that, and how all of those pieces fit together whenever there's a project that comes into town, be it a residential project, commercial project, or even the solar project. And the things that we can do better as a team to make sure that we're working in the best interests of the town for whatever that project happens to be. And we talked a little bit about how we handle all of that. And quite frankly, there were really good processes from the conversation I had with staff, really good processes in place prior to COVID. And COVID kind of kicked those out the window a little bit, because people weren't able to actually meet, or they were limited in the way they could meet personally. And the example that I'll give you is, and this is something that I've seen done in multiple communities, whenever project plans come in, they're shared with the departments that are going to be responsible for the permitting, the siting, the safety, whatever it happens to be. And those meetings are very beneficial when you get, to Mr. Oliveri's point, having a group of people looking at something together is a lot different than them looking at it in a vacuum, isolated from that group. So we talked about reinstituting that as part of our process, as opposed to just emailing out the documents or putting them in a particular place where people can go out and look at them at their leisure. Because, as I said, it's always best to have those discussions. So tonight I actually I asked the building inspector, the planning director, and fire chief, who unfortunately couldn't be here, but the deputy fire chief is, to be here in case you all had any questions about how we go about doing these processes. And we need to build that. We need to build that process. We need to make it official, and we need to follow it for every project that comes through the door. And I don't care how big it is. I don't care if it's a single-family home or a 40-unit complex. I think it's important that people have an opportunity to sit down together as a group and vet that appropriately, because I may see something that the fire chief doesn't, or the fire chief may see something that the building inspector doesn't, and having those discussions brings all of that out. And I've seen it, as I said, I've seen it be very effective in other communities, and I think it's something that the town needs to adopt. And I think that everybody, when we had this conversation, everybody was in agreement that there's always a better way to do it, and we need to keep looking and keep getting better.
So I'm going to, I'm kind of a visual person, and what I'm imagining is some kind of a flow chart where a project comes in, and if it comes in this way, these are the steps. If it comes in this way, these are the steps. And if it comes in this way, these are the steps, and really delineating those in a way that's like tangible, that everybody can see and know what the steps are. And what I think I'm hearing you saying is there was a step that, because of COVID, where we used to gather at the beginning of projects as a team, and that step has kind of become more electronic, and maybe that's a gap for us.
It's become more fragmented in that people are looking at it through their eyes for their piece that they're responsible for, as opposed to, again, everybody in a room together collectively reviewing something and saying, hey, have you thought about blah, and did you see this over here? You've got this piece over here that maybe got, and it happens because some of these are so complex and so large that, you sometimes miss it because you're so busy doing everything else, and then you sit down to, at the end of the day, to review a project that just hit your mailbox. And
you haven't heard the perspective of your colleagues.
Correct.
Well, one thing I would like to see, and I know you started this with the Citizens Academy, but I would like department heads to come to a select board meeting. I mean, we meet twice a month, so if there's a project or a new process that's being implemented, I would ask I would make a suggestion that the department heads come to our meeting, one of the meetings that we're having, and address the select board as well as communicate that out to the public, because that's not getting out to the public. And again, the Citizens Academy is great, but it's only 25 people that have signed up for those sessions. And so I think having our department heads come to our select board meetings would be helpful for me personally, because I don't have insight into every single thing that's happening or for each department or committee. So I would just make that recommendation, and I think that used to happen in the past, but again, I don't know if that's something that was stopped, but, and I know we have folks come to us at our request, but I'm asking for this to be a standing thing where once a month for one of our meetings, we have a department head come and just give a general update as to what their committee or what their department is currently working on. And I think that would help. I mean, that's not going to solve the process issue, but it will allow for more transparency for our board as well as to the public.
I was wondering if we could have a public forum where people could ask questions and we could give answers. We could have the department heads there. The town meeting, we do that a little bit in the pre-town meeting, but maybe more frequently than just once or twice a year, maybe quarterly or something. Like now there's a lot of questions going on. If we have a public forum, we could have a dialogue. on a specific subject, so it can go 2 or 3 hours, and it just doesn't have to be cut off briefly because there's so many things on the agenda.
So I like the idea of a public forum. I think we have to be careful about, one of the things you learn in a leadership role is you don't ask questions about things you don't have any control over, right? So you don't ask people, what color do you want the building painted if you don't have the capacity to paint your building? And so I'm very interested in having a forum. Actually, I had met with Justin before about doing a forum and having another forum to include more young people, or Nick left. But to include our young people too with their questions about town government. So I think having sort of generic public forums is a really good idea. I would be cautious about having us have a forum about something that's the planning board responsibility or something that's the building committee's responsibility, because
That's why I think they should come to us and present what they're doing.
Yes.
But we can that's a good idea. I think having them bring information to us so we are informed and then the public is informed through this method is amazing. I think that's a very good idea, but there are things that are not our domain, we don't have the authority to, I'm looking at you because we had a different conversation about a different topic, but it's a nice word. There's things we have the authority to do as a board. There's things that we don't have the authority to do and other boards do. So I just think we should move cautiously about that and not say, we're going to talk about this, X, Y, and Z, if it's in the domain of a different board from us. I think a public forum in general is a good idea.
Right.
Having people have an opportunity to ask us questions we can answer to the best of our ability, and keeping people informed about that.
If people email us the questions we have, we can have the appropriate person at the public forum to answer the question. I mean, we can't speak for the planning board, the zoning board, or any of the boards, but if someone's there to answer the questions,
Yes.
and that way the questions don't get asked on Facebook or the community page, they don't get answers.
Yes. I think that the process that you're talking about, I'm imagining, are you imagining that the departments that are involved in whatever the project might be, departments would get together on a project basis or on like a monthly basis? Like every month they're going to get together and say, here's where we're at with this, here's where we're at, where it's more calendar driven or project driven or both?
I think it's both. I think if you have a fairly large project that's submitted, you don't want to wait until your next monthly meeting to take a look at that. You want to hold that meeting fairly quickly. So I think you need the latitude of doing either or, depending upon what it is you're looking at. If you've got a bunch of small projects that are coming in, certainly you could do those once a month, depending upon where they're at in the process. But you want to do that before you start holding your hearings and start talking about the permitting pieces, whatever. You want to get that out there as quickly as possible. So I would leave that to the staff to determine how they wanted to handle all of that.
So you're referring to more of an internal process where
I'm
the
talking about
department
internal,
heads and the committees will
exactly.
meet.
So one of the concerns that was brought up was that about the permitting piece that's not actually part of the planning review process or the zoning review process. You have all of the permitting pieces that go with a project, depending upon what that project is, and how do we get everybody engaged who's going to at some point in time touch this from a water, sewer, electrical, plumbing, whatever it happens to be, so that everybody has an opportunity to vet this together and, ask questions internally before we start talking about it on a public basis. Because you may have a project that comes in and the staff reviews it and looks at it and goes, this is not going to fly this way. It can't. So you push back on the proponent and get it right before you start holding all of your public hearings, and make sure that the documents are correct and that all of the pieces are buttoned down before you get to that process, so you're doing it right.
So I see an advantage I see like we're answering three questions all at the same time. One is a public a public communication piece. How are we communicating what we're doing well or what we haven't done well with the public? So there's that piece, I think. Then I think,
Well, I wouldn't even say what we're doing well, what we're not doing well, what we're doing.
what we're doing.
Period.
So
right?
if I could interject, in other communities in which I've worked, we've done that. We've held Somerset. It's a great example. Somerset, every year, during the year, every department met with the select board.
Right.
Somerset. They would come in and they would meet with them and go, this is what we're up to, here's where we're at, these are the things that are coming up, here's the stuff that we've done, here's the stuff that we see coming, here's the stuff we're working on right now, and just have a discussion about
Yes.
where they are, what they're doing, and what they're all about. And I think those are great opportunities, not only for the residents to hear what they're up to, but also to showcase the amount of work that goes into running a town. Because it's not easy, and it's not something you just do. It doesn't just happen. There's a lot of work that goes on, and I'm going to use the term behind the scenes, because it's part of what the process is. And I think it's important for that to get out there, because most people don't understand how much stuff is going on they may not see. And from a transparency perspective, it's great to get that out there for people, but it's also a good opportunity for people to understand that
Absolutely.
people aren't sitting here in this building waiting for something to happen. They're busily engaged in a number of different things. And if it's not a project that they're dealing with or a situation they're dealing with that it's like right now and here, then it's thinking about how do we, if this happens, how's it going to affect this? If we prove this, what's the effect of down? So there's a lot of pieces. It's a chess game constantly,
I think that was one of my takeaways from our Citizens Academy classes that we've been having is you get to meet all these people and hear about the work that they're doing. And there's been many, many times where I'm learning things that are new for me or new learning. And there's not been yet a session where we haven't had somebody who's passionate about their work doing their best for the town of Norfolk. So that's been very exciting. To go back to the process discussion, we have a communication piece, I think, and I love the idea of bringing the boards in, so that's something that we can talk about, getting that routinized in the select board schedule. There's the project-specific flow chart, right? The project comes in and making sure our departments have that collective opportunity before it gets too far down the chain, so pretty early on, and maybe multiple times in that flow chart is
there would be
yes.
iterations of that as you go through it, like any computer program. You're going to do, if this happens, and you're going to loop back and go through. If there's a change, you're going to loop back and start all over again and go through the process again. Maybe not to the level of depth that you needed to do prior, because you've done your deep dive and your due diligence up front, but it's yes, and I had every intention of trying to put something together. Unfortunately, I didn't, and I apologize. But it is something that we could put together and then adopt that as the policy, if you will, for
And share
how we
it, so
handle all
people
of
know
that.
what, we're in this stage now, we're in this stage now, we're in this stage now, or, I think there's a lot of value to that, a lot of value.
One of the things we did in North Attleboro, and I hate to keep dropping other town names, but one of the things that we did that was also very effective was we built something similar to that for economic development, where we charted out and put together a document that was out there that showed people coming into the community the process they needed to follow for various things. And then we used some examples. If you wanted to open a dog shop, here's what you had to do. If you wanted to build a house, here's what you had to do, and here's the flow chart you had to follow to do that. If you wanted to whatever. And we would put like 3 or 4 examples out there so that people knew where they had to go for various things, because the average person coming in the door has no idea how we operate. So if they want to open a business, it's like, what do I do? Where do I start? How do I go about doing all of this? And by mapping that out, it actually was a pretty efficient way to give people that information. And we also used that as we went through the whole process. North Attleboro was a community that had adopted or had accepted the legalization of marijuana back in the day. So we had companies that were coming in that wanted to open up shops, and we needed to map that process. We used what we learned over here, and we built a process for that so that they knew what they had to do to follow to get through the process. And it's very helpful to people to be able to point to that and give them that document and go, here's your roadmap.
Excellent. I'm going to invite do you want to come to the table and, he's not smiling.
You didn't tell
Is
them
there-
what.
Well, I'm looking at our visitors who came specifically for this conversation.
Yeah, you guys want to come up, just come on up. Let's just have a quick chat about, some of the things we talked about, and some of the stuff that we maybe want to do in the...
Welcome.
Thank you.
See, you're more than a pretty face.
If you guys could just identify yourselves, I think that would be helpful.
Sure. Richard McCarthy, Town Planner for the Town of Norfolk.
David Kulikowski, Building Commissioner, Zoning Enforcement Officer.
Jack Kelly, Deputy Fire Chief.
Welcome, and thank you for being here. I know this is late, so thank you. So do you have thoughts? Do you want to chime in on our conversation? It's been kind of broad strokes right now.
Sure. Yeah, I could start off. So as any processes you do, there's improvements to be done. I think, and we can always learn from them. I will say that there has been a couple, so in terms of I've been here 8 years now, there was a site plan approval bylaw that existed for, I want to say it goes back to late 80s, that we changed in 2022. And that was, those changes came about because there was things that weren't covered or missed, or some reviews that the way the structure was done back then, and then we made those changes. This version now, in terms of site plan review, is about 3 years old. Certainly worthy of looking at to see, excuse me, what could be done to make it more efficient. On both sides, actually, because while I completely appreciate, the public, the general public needs to be informed, we also want to be proactive and provide opportunities for the business community as well. So kind of both sides managing that. So some of the things, to Mike's point, we do meet, so staff does meet, those things are going on, but we don't necessarily meet on a regular basis because we don't have a lot of staff in the town as it is. So everybody's time is, there's different things pulling in different directions. What we reinstituted, but then we had personnel leaving, so we're down, as you probably know, or obviously I don't have to explain to you, but we had a standing meeting once a month that we would meet together, which we will reinstitute. And that's an opportunity where we talk about planning matters, projects, et cetera. So we were doing that. We will do it again. I mean, like I said, we don't have like a DPW director, for instance, so there's so many, now we have interim town administrator, now we'll have it, so.
We also don't have an assistant town administrator, which would help with all the
We don't have an
process.
assistant. When we had the assistant, there was things that we were talking about to be more outward facing for the business community that we're gonna do. That staff person is not here.
Yeah, she left.
So a lot of things that were being talked about, have either participated, been part of that team somewhere else, or we've talked about it here, is that we want to do it here as well, but there's staffing that kind of drives a lot of that work that we want to do. Like I said, in part, I come here, so it's not like, we certainly can come to do that, and I will say that we're open to, but we also kind of have to be mindful, and then maybe that's where the education piece comes in. There are laws that govern what we can and cannot do and how far we can take them, and that's a variety of different areas. And sometimes what people's expectations, how much you can do, you got to be careful. You want to make sure that we're not stomping on somebody else's rights as well. So I think we can definitely, there's always room for improvement, and welcome to do that, and we can certainly, not only would I want to have that to the public, per se, as an interested citizen, is that we could then talk to businesses too, which we do. We can certainly invite them in too, to the conversation to see what we, where we can make improvements as well in terms of the permitting process.
Yeah, and I definitely appreciate all the staffing issues, or losses, I should say, that the town has had. So I know that plays a part. So it's no judgment. It's just, again, how can we make it better?
Sure.
So I think, if you can reinstitute those monthly meetings, that's a step, right? So I'm not sure who is a part of those meetings, but.
So it was DPW, building, police, fire, conservation, affordable housing. I'm trying to think of, I think I named them all.
Yeah.
That were in there. A while ago, and this is quite some time ago, we used to talk about those at like a general department head meeting, and it really became where, a lot of departments didn't necessarily need to hear about it. I mean, they're interested, but not as hands-on with that. And that's when we went to the separate, like, kind of called the development type team meetings. And so we essentially came to the conclusion we have to have it on a specific time or not, like, put it on your calendar, and that did work. But again, like I said, we've set some turnover, so some of the people, like Dave, doesn't even know about it because it's kind of new. But we would definitely do that, reinstitute that. That's not a.
Cool. Would you like to add anything from well, I know you're new, but do you want to add to the conversation, or do you feel like we're in a?
No, just speaking from a little experience, just being new to this, and it's kind of when I started getting in this position, I attended some of those meetings, and it just opens up the lines of communication. I think a lot of things were brought to the table, our concerns, stuff that maybe we didn't see, that maybe you picked up on. But I can say, being involved in the fire station committee, being part of that, we met every single Wednesday with the contractors, anybody involved in the project, and so many things got solved without them getting any bigger than the discussion in the room. And I think it's you definitely got to have the meetings and have the lines of communication open. It just worked very well.
I should add to those meetings that we do have applicants come to those meetings too. It's not just staff, by the way. I probably should have said that earlier. To come in.
Yeah, so it helped very much so.
One minor thing I'll add is, in my short time here in the town of Norfolk, the one thing that I have witnessed across every department head and department staff member is the passion that we bring to this job. We're not here to just stare at a stack of piece of paper, rubber stamp it, and pass it on. We all do our due diligence in our jobs, make sure that we know our codes, we know our jobs, our lanes, and we keep within those to make sure that the town of Norfolk has, number one, is safety for our residents. So that can definitely speak that I've seen. So
Thank you. Any questions?
No.
Do you have any questions?
No, but Rob, I know you're still in the room, but I'm going to task you hopefully with reinstituting these meetings, because I think that they're important. Obviously, there was a benefit to having them. There was turnover, there were transitions, we've had interim folks, so hopefully we can get those back up and running.
Excellent. And have the departments come to us not just at budget time, but at different times throughout the year, so we have a better sense and can be more public about those things. So
I'm sure he's going to be excited, but we've got a long list for him when he gets here next week.
I know a long list too.
Might be a little busy in the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, all the things that, again, you've talked about are on our to-do list as well, so it's not, at least I can speak for myself, so.
I'm bouncing it back to you, sir.
No, I want to thank the folks being here tonight and for their time last week to have this discussion, because I think it's important.
that we do this. And I will reiterate what I heard from David. The people here are passionate about what they do. And to Rich's point, people have been juggling a lot of balls for a long time with a lot of, with a lot of gaps in in staffing in various places. Hopefully we can get some of those closed up. I'll talk a little bit about that more. A little more
Awesome.
about that in my next, not my
Excellent.
next one, but the one after that. But
And just as a plug to all the millions of people out there on the internet, but we do have a link on our if you go to your government at work, there's a link where you can submit questions, and we've been really aggressively trying to make sure we're getting people's questions answered. So please, if we're not answering, this is intended as a broad conversation, not a specific conversation about a specific project, but as an intention to say, how can we do, what do we do, and how can we do this to the best of our capacity? And so, and as we move on to procurement then, which is our next conversation, should we keep these three fine gentlemen here, or?
I don't think they need to stick around for this one.
All right,
but
so
again,
thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Safely.
Very welcome. Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
do want to add one thing that did come up when we were speaking Thursday afternoon, I should say, with all the staff folks. There was some things that we heard about, like the fire chief had reached out to, his contacts about the specific project that will be discussed tomorrow evening at the planning board, but he had already made all of those overtures to the people that are involved that in various state agencies and state level to get input from them as well. So it's nice to know these people, these folks, as they're on top of it, they're passionate about what they do. So
Excellent. And that's been super clear in the academies that they're knowledgeable and passionate about what they do for Norfolk. So, excellent. So moving on to procurement.
So procurement is another one of those fun topics that nobody really wants to talk about, but we have to. There were two letters that were sent to the town, one from the Office of the Inspector General dated June 9th, 2025. They're in your packets. That one is they're both in your packets this evening. And that was regarding the lease of the space at 12 Sharon Avenue for the particular project, the solar project. There were some things that were done incorrectly through that whole process. The OIG did an investigation. The town was very open with the OIG. There was a lot of data that went back and forth with the town and with the OIG through that whole process. And the letter pretty much talks about that there was, it was open communication. The town attempted to do it the right way, didn't. And there were some suggestions about how we can do things better. One of the things that needs to be done is, and one of the things that I noticed early on when I got here was that there was no procurement process. There was no written procurement policy and process. That is something that's very important to have. And the other thing that I will say...
Or a named procurement officer.
Well, that's the other thing. There was no procurement, and I'm going to call it a procurement office.
Yeah.
There was no procurement office. So what's happened is that the departments have kind of been out there on their own, trying to navigate all of this stuff. And if you don't have the background, and you don't have the experience, and you don't have the knowledge, and you don't have the education, that's when you get in trouble. Particularly if if you've run afoul of 30B or 3039M or 149, all of those pieces that are required to be followed for procurement for obvious reasons. You don't want another UMass Boston on your hands. So that's something that I would highly recommend happen, and that all procurements get funneled through that procurement office, and that departments, and this is going to be a little more difficult to enforce because of the structure of government that you have, where you have this fragmented executive branch. But Norfolk is not unique in this process, by the way. It's not a great statement for me to make, but you're not unique. I found it in Somerset, I found it in Northborough, and I found it here. The town was signing contracts that were provided to it by the vendors. So you can imagine the language within the contract docs was all in favor of the vendors, not the town. So I brought in, and Tim Chenard did the same thing. He, actually, it was pretty funny. He said to me, well, I got all these documents and all these contract pieces and whatever, and I brought them with me from North Attleboro, and I'm like, yeah, I know, I wrote it. So it's all there now. So we have sample documents for various contracts, for engineering contracts, for 30B purchase contracts for goods and services. We have sample bid documents out there. So all of those pieces are there, including all of the other incidental documents that need to be signed, non-collusion, attestation of payment of taxes, certificate of corporate authority that tells you that the person that's signing the contract on behalf of the contractor actually has the authority to sign that contract. That's very important, because if somebody signs the contract and doesn't have that authority, you don't really have a contract. So those are the kinds of things that I started to put in place. We've done it for a couple of the procurements that we've done. And some of that is also because of I'm kind of running away here a little bit, but the first one, as I said, the first letter had to do with the lease of Sharon Avenue, the issues that we followed there from a lease perspective. We took bids in late. We never should have done that. We changed the requirements of the bid. That never should have happened. All bids should have been rejected. Go back out and start again. That's how you handle that process. You don't make it worse by not following the laws and the rules. So that was...
So may I ask a clarifying question on that?
Sure,
Is
go
there a
ahead.
safety consequence of those mistakes, or were they logistical?
No, they were more logistical. They were more financial. They were more financial. There's more of a financial impact than a safety impact for the actual situation that's going on there. The problem we have now is the lease has been signed, the lease has been executed, and there's no way out of that as long as everybody's not in, is operating within the confines of the lease, and no one's in breach, and right now no one's in breach of that lease agreement. The other item that we ran into was with the Public Works, where they hired a company in 2021, and during the process of having that company doing some small work for them, that work went from $50,000 worth of work to almost $800,000 worth of work without it going out to bid. That's a huge issue. Never should have happened. Should have been caught somewhere. At the end of the day, you have various checks and balances within the town that should have seen that. Your town accountant is your stopgap for everything, and if I don't have a contract for this that equals this, I shouldn't be paying the bill. The bill never should get paid. And that's anything in excess of $10,000. There should be a contract folder. What I've instituted is, through the procurement process, I get all the documents together, we send them out to the vendor signs it, I make sure that they're vetted by legal to make sure that all of the legal terms and conditions are okay within the contract doc, and the contract docs were provided by legal, so we've just got another set that I want to review. And that all the insurance pieces are required in there also, because there's insurance requirements we need to make sure we're getting as well, that would not necessarily be in the contract that was provided to us from the vendor. So, and I'll give you, for instance, if you're dealing with Munis. Munis is the company that we use for our accounting system. Within the contract with Munis, there had best be cybersecurity requirement in there, because if anything ever happens and there's a breach,
We don't want to be responsible for that. We want our vendor to be responsible for that. So those are the kinds of things you need to make sure are all in those documents. But going back to the other issue with the procurement from Public Works, that's still in process. We are still responding to the OIG as far as giving them data about one of the things they wanted. There's conditions that were put in here. Immediately identify or hire a full-time chief procurement officer. Well, right now, I'm your chief procurement officer. I'm certified to be there. With my departure, and I'll have this conversation this week with Rob about designating someone else who is also MCPPO certified to be the CPO for the town and start funneling all that stuff through that person. I have a couple of ideas. I just want to run them by Rob, so I don't want to say anything out loud at this point. But when I came on board, that was one of the things that I had in my back pocket was my certification. So it's important to have that just to make sure that you're doing things correctly.
From your perspective, do you think the town administrator should be the chief procurement officer, or is it usually someone else?
I have been so I think it falls into the town administrator's office. I think the town administrator's office should be responsible for all of that, and it should funnel through a central place. Could it be delegated to someone else if they have the bandwidth? Yeah, sure, you can. But I think from a perspective of at least to start the pieces going and get the process written and get it hammered down and the documents that everybody's using, I think it should be driven by the town administrator's office.
And I happen to know that Rob has started the MCPPO process, so he's in the process of becoming certified in that.
Yeah. So,
Mr. Garrity.
anyway, there was a number of things here that the OIG and has required and requested. I answered some of that this weekend. They wanted to know who had MCPPO certification. I gave them a list of the folks in town who are MCPPO certified, who has taken other courses. I found one person who has taken the overview course, the contract overview course. I would highly recommend that a number of people take that overview course. I believe that one is free, the contract overview. But it's at least to get the basics of the things you do and don't do and the things you can and can't do through that whole process. But we're still in the process of negotiating back and forth with the OIG to bring that to fruition. So, like I said, it's important. It's an important process within the town. And it's going to be, I know there's going to be pushback because we've always done it this other way. But just because you've always done it that way doesn't make it right. And I think it's important that we do these things correctly. And any expenditure over $10,000, if we're signing a check out of the accounting department for anything over $10,000 and there's no contract in place, that's a problem. That's Mass General Law. So what I've been doing is getting all the documents together, and the first thing I do is give it to the town accountant and the chief financial officer. They're the keeper of the record. And then they have all that information on file, including the W-9, so that we can actually pay the vendors as they do work for us. So that's part of the process, and we just really need to nail it down, write it down, and adopt it as a policy and a process.
Excellent. I look forward to those documents crossing this table.
I have samples that I will obtain from other communities. So one thing I have to say, so one thing I love about working in the public sector, you can steal stuff all day long and nobody cares because it's all public record. It's
Yeah,
just,
it's
it's
all
wonderful.
public record.
It's wonderful. So, anyway, that's my procurement update.
Well, I'll just say, like, a lot of these things that have cropped up seem to be policy and procedure related. And so I hope that when Rob's looking for the next assistant town administrator, we hone in on someone who has policy experience. Because I think that's something that's lacking and it's getting us into some of these situations.
So one of the other things that I'll do, and Rob, I'm going to go look for this tonight when I get home. The finance director in Weymouth, the former finance director in Weymouth, the first financial director in Weymouth, who wrote all their policies and procedures, is a personal friend of mine. And he did a wonderful job writing policies and procedures for the town, for finance, for financial policies and procedures. I actually had a conversation with Todd Lindmark about that and promised him I would get him a copy of that, and I've just been lax at doing that. I know I have a copy of that file at home, and I will make sure that both Rob and Todd get a copy of that so they can actually, and in there, I believe, is a procurement process piece, so it'll be a great jumping off point. You won't have to reinvent the wheel, which you don't want, you never want to have to reinvent the wheel. Not in this business, you just don't have time.
No, none of our departments have time.
Anyway, so that's, I promise I'll do that tonight when I go home. I think I know where it is.
Thank you very much. Any other questions, or shall we move on? We're good? Awesome, going on to town administrator updates.
Well, Madam Chair, this is my last select board meeting. I want to thank you all for your faith in me and bringing me on board to do what I've been able to do here. I tried. Was here for a little longer than I thought I was going to be, but it's okay. I'm glad I was able to do some of the things I was able to do and at least identify places that we need to make some adjustments and make some changes. It's a great town. Town has a ton of potential. There's a bunch of things that need to be done, and I look forward to doing a nice smooth turnover with Rob. I told him I'd stick around. Well, I'm sticking around until the 27th of January. That'll be my last day. And, but I'm a phone call away. And as long as I get reception on the boat in the middle of the water, I don't really, I will answer the call.
That's a no.
If not, leave me a message, I'll get back to you when I hit dry land. But no, it's been a pleasure. I think that, there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of potential. I want to thank the department heads for the job they've done. We've had some, as I said before, we've had some big gaps. We've been without a DPW director for a while now, and that's been difficult over there, but I think John DeLuca's done a yeoman's job over there and rallying the folks in that department. I think I want to thank the foremen for all stepping up. They've stepped up and done a fantastic job over there and kept the place running. The most you can ever hope for as a town administrator is that people keep the wheels of the bus going round and round, because if they don't, you're in trouble. And I think they do a great job of that. The department heads they're committed and they're passionate and they do a great job. So I want to thank them also, and thank the residents of the community, and wish you all well.
Yeah, I want to say thank you to you as well. I know it hasn't been easy. I know there's a lot to do and a lot that that you had to resolve in your short time here. So I just want to thank you for the work and for, help guiding or steering the ship, as best as you could with all the turnover that has happened in the town hall since you've been here. And just, I appreciate the effort, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
And I would like to say that transitions are hard. This is my second one that we've gone through, and I'm just so grateful for the wealth of experience that you bring with you about how towns run and operate. I'm just again and again grateful for your wisdom and for your understanding, but that admire also at the same time as you have that sort of technical knowledge base, you really care about the people. And so quickly, you were here just 5 minutes before you felt passionate about this town and the people here, and I'm super grateful for that. And Norfolk was in very good hands while we went through the process of selecting a new town administrator. So I'm very, very grateful for your wisdom, but also for the care that you afforded this community. So thank you very much.
Thank you. It's bittersweet.
It is bittersweet.
Yeah.
I'll be calling you too, so.
Yes. You've got my, a lot of people have my number. But,
And I also just want to say thank you to Amanda and Judith, who
Oh my God.
have held that office down through all the turbulence that has gone on, and, not having consistency is hard, and I think you guys have both done a great job, just,
I would have been in big trouble
Yeah.
without Amanda and Judith. Without Judith cracking the whip and,
She's
you know,
kept you.
yeah, making sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, and stuff would slip through the cracks.
yeah, I mean, and for the public out there, we have an interim town administrator, but we are also without an assistant town administrator, so the office is bare bones.
Absolutely. And then I have, any updates, sir?
What's that?
Do you have any updates?
No.
Additional updates? I have a couple. I have invited Senator Roush and Representative Vaughn to come to one of our upcoming select board meetings so that we can talk about, give them an opportunity to share what they're doing, but also ask them questions about things like prison mitigation money and things that they might be able to, Park Street Bridge, so that we can have a conversation with them in the room. So I'm looking forward to hearing back from them. I think they're working, they know the dates of our upcoming meetings, and they're working to coordinate a date to come and visit. I also wanted to share that next week or the next week, soon, very soon, in the next 10 days maybe, there's a conference for municipal elected folks in Boston.
It is next Friday and Saturday.
Next Friday and Saturday. Your board will be attending. It's, I started going in COVID, so it was kind of a weird thing, but it's very, first of all, energizing, just like you realize there's a whole bunch of people doing this work. It is, I'm not complaining, but we're not paid. It's thankless work sometimes. We're doing our best, and we're doing it imperfectly, but to the very best of our ability. In your board, the three of us are very different from each other, but we have a shared passion for this community. So I'm looking forward to the Connect 351, and you learn a lot at those about how different communities have solved different problems. And so you have an opportunity to connect with different communities that say, what did you do about this? Or who else doesn't have sewage in town? Or who else? There's a lot of connections that are really valuable, so we'll be there at that. And just to reiterate what Thais was saying, there's a planning board meeting tomorrow night where they're going to specifically be available to answer questions about the solar panel array. I know I've seen a lot of conversations on Facebook of people are concerned, and the planning board is there to listen to your concerns. And so that is the appropriate forum to bring those things that people are worried about, like that woman had some really valid questions to bring forward to the table. And so that's the forum for that. And that's all of my updates. So,
Madam Chair, through you, just, some of the department heads will be at that meeting tomorrow.
excellent, excellent. And so then, just in terms of business, I would accept a motion to approve the 4 meetings for the period of December 16th through January 9th as printed in the agenda.
Madam Chair, you need the warrants.
Oh, didn't I just say?
Warrant.
I'll read it because I don't think I read it again.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll accept a motion to approve the 4 warrants for the period of December 16th through January 9th as printed in the agenda. It's okay, we're all exhausted for this
So
meeting.
moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And minutes, I'll turn it over.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes for December 1st, 2025, December 4th, 2025, and December 15th, 2025.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Now I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I heard you that time.
Wanted to make sure you did.